Hello, this is Niswander, and welcome to the NOWMAN Show. The name of this panel discussion is Creating a New Economy, a Cooperative Economy and Worker Co-ops. And my panel today is first Gilda Haas. She's led numerous economic justice organizations, is a founder of the Right in the City Alliance, and has taught community economic development at UCLA for many years. She created the Mobile Co-op Lab to serve LA's unique geography and is on the board of Seed Commons Financial Cooperative. Erik is a personal trainer and an advocate for worker cooperatives. And Bair is part of People's Ride, a rideshare co-op in formation. Thank you all very much for being on the NOWMAN Show. So first of all, let's start with Gilda. Gilda, what is your role and what's the purpose at the LA Co-op Lab?
Okay, we're a small collective, and our purpose is basically to incubate and support the development of worker co-ops in LA. It was kind of like the flip side of gentrification and inequality. We're part of a national network of peers that includes some of them that you know, like Cooperation Jackson, Cooperation Richmond, BRED, which is the Baltimore Roundtable for Economic Democracy. And we learn together nationally, and we also share a financial cooperative so that locally and nationally we have the capacity to help finance this emerging cooperative movement. And so what we do is we do classes for groups of people that are trying to do to create to own their own jobs collectively, and we do one-on-ones with groups. We make loans. We did some business development work, cooperative development work with a bike co-op in Leimert Park, Ride On.
What is Ride On?
Ride On, like Ride On.
Ride On.
Ride, R-I-D-E, get it, bicycles.
Yeah.
Ride On.
So what do they focus on? What's their?
They're a bicycle store.
Oh, really?
And
Yes.
they're very tied into the Leimert Park community, and they're very tied into the just mobility movement in Los Angeles, and the rights of bike riders, and the bike coalition in Los Angeles.
Yes.
And so they're wonderful, and I met Matt in our class last year.
I took that. It's fabulous.
Yeah,
it's
and
everything you need.
And one of the things about the classes that's good, because the classes are really designed for teams of people to get down into the business side of stuff and the legal side of stuff and the economics of it, and
Just the nuts and bolts, essentially.
Yes, and then also the bigger purpose of like why are we trying to flip the script on the economy. And but one of the things that's great about the class, besides of course us and everything, is people really benefit from being in a room with other folks who are in different sectors that are trying to do the same thing and giving each other feedback. And that seemed to be, that's really why we do the class, because we're also trying to build a community, an ecosystem in Los Angeles. And as you know, there's other initiatives in Los Angeles. There's not a lot of co-ops yet in Los Angeles, but they're coming.
Yes.
And we could use as many networked kind of relationships in terms of building the trust and the alignment and the long-term view that all movements need to be successful.
Absolutely, and there's also the Lucy group here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, Lucy, and there's Collective Remake.
Collective Remake with
and
Mary
there's
Sutton.
Coop LA in Southgate, which is a group of emerging cooperatives that share space in.
That's right.
In Southgate.
Yeah, it's starting. It's emerging.
Yeah, it's great. It's just really great. I'm very hopeful.
Yeah, and I think I see it as a long-term solution for creating a new economy, which is what attracted me to it when I first learned about it from Professor Richard Wolff. It just made perfect sense. I mean, it just resonated immediately. Like, of course, why wouldn't the workers want to be the owners of the place they spend a lot of their time? If we're going to have that kind of a system, why wouldn't that be the case? Why would you turn over all the most important decisions to a small group of people that might not even have any direct human connection with the work that's even going on? It's just bizarre how we didn't start doing that. Erik and I have worked together on different projects to advocate for worker cooperatives. Erik, what is your goal and your objective right now?
On a personal level, I'm trying to set up my own worker cooperative gym. Overall, I've learned a lot from business in the last several years. I was working with folks who were trying to do a lot of the same thing, but it's tough because there's just not that kind of culture here. It's just the United States in general, but Los Angeles, I feel like, just doesn't have the capacity to really understand that style of business yet, and I think it's borne out in the the laws we have all over the United States. We're recently just like Gilda mentioned, there's a lot in incubation stage at the moment, and the same thing with our laws in that regard. There are lawyers who don't even know what to do with a worker cooperative.
That's right.
People in our at the city and state level representatives who just, like, you tell them, oh, I'm trying to start up a worker cooperative. I've called people regarding the the business that I'm trying to set up at the moment, and it's I'm not even sure what that is. They don't even know how to give you advice on how to go about starting a worker cooperative.
We'll hook you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think too, I know I've had conversations with people, and and I know that there are attorneys that haven't even really, if they have heard of the cooperative corporation model, they don't know anything about it. And some of these people, they don't oh, that exists?
Yeah.
They're just now, I think, getting around to the B corporation. You know what I mean? So,
but it's coming. It's coming.
It is coming.
So we're the more our part of our job is to create the demand for an attorney, and so we had like 4 attorneys coming into our class.
Oh, that's great. Fantastic.
Good ones.
Really good
that's
ones.
Really good.
And there's interest, and there will be more as we build more. And so what I like is that we're all learning this together.
Yes.
That we're all building together.
Yes.
And that there's enough different spaces for people to focus on what they're best at.
That's right.
So
exactly.
as long as we stay aligned, then the what do you call it? The sum of the whole will be more than the sum of the parts, and we'll have really something different happening here.
Exactly. So it's a holistic kind of experience, which is, and that means it's connected not only to the economic structure, but as many of us know, in this country, people struggle with making the political connection to all of this, which is real. I mean, you can go to Europe, and it's a whole different mindset when it comes to how things are done. And there's also the social, context as well. I mean, it's all connected. You can't leave anything out, basically. Matt, your focus has been on the worker cooperative version of what people are seeing with Uber and Lyft. Now, I guess maybe this is where I'll start the question. You can elaborate on what it is that you're involved in and what your specific goals are. But I heard this week, maybe you can confirm this, that Elon Musk he's proposing something.
I read that too.
He had meetings
driverless
with
cars.
Uber and Lyft. What was that all about? Do you know what that's about?
I don't know the meetings with Uber and Lyft, but driverless cars.
Yeah.
He's putting out in the next year is what he states.
That's what he's talking about.
Amazing, and the one piece response to that is that, and still Cooperative Jackson is really thought out thoroughly on the topic, is that because people are talk about that when you talk about forming a co-op in the rideshare industry, is that they say, well, they're going to go driverless anyway. People like Elon Musk like to hype things up a lot faster than they really happen anyway. But still, the question is, well, why can't a public utility like that be something that everyone needs and everyone uses, transportation? Why can't that, even if it is driverless cars, why can't it still be run by the community? Why can't it be something that the community and drivers and customers all together?
But doesn't, even with these driverless cars, doesn't there still have to be somebody in the vehicle to monitor it? I mean, it's like a computer, right? Or no? How does that work?
I've actually talked to a lot of people in the driverless car industry, and like people that consult for Ford and GM. I happen to give them rides and stuff, and they talk about it's happening a lot faster. And the thing is, and I tend to agree with them, it's the technology is perfectly safe. It's like airplanes. It's like you're more likely to get in an accident with a person driving a car than you are a driverless car. Yeah. Cars are extremely dangerous. Like 35,000 people die from car accidents a year in the U.S., something like that.
I know, it's a lot.
Yeah, and so you're less likely in a driverless car. The technology is really advanced, but public has to get onto it. And as far as I know, like they put people in the car to when it's an experimentation and to get people more on board for doing a driverless car. But there's some cities that have, like Philadelphia, experimented with the driverless cars driving around. I think there's some even right now, and they're just like in small localities and cities that are, cities that are well planned and mapped out and things like that.
Interesting. So that's your focus right now, is the...
So my focus is I would love to see, I want to see Uber and Lyft organized as a co-op, and the People's Ride is the emblem of that, to organize Uber and Lyft as a co-op, and then have a co-op alternative for all the gig economy like Uber and Lyft. Every other one, TaskRabbit, Postmates,
Dine Dash,
DoorDash.
The people whose job it is to plug in scooters.
The birdie.
It's just kind of like on the hierarchy of like extractive work.
Yeah.
It's just like I think it's really perfect that we're having this conversation. That we're sitting on these. We're working on co-ops, and then the target is like the most extractive aspects of the economy, because it's the economy itself is structured that way to be extractive. That's right. What we've come down to. But the extremes are and just even the conversation that you can get a job, you won't have an employer, but they will tell you what to do. You have to use your own car. You have to get your own insurance. You have to, if anything bad happens, it's on you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the new, that work is this series of precarious relationships, as opposed to an actual relationship, And so I think it's interesting, and then that it's an interesting conversation. That what if we didn't have people? Okay, that would be even better. And stuff like that, to go from an app to the world as an app and stuff like that. Well, actually, the world still consists of people.
That's right.
People who have a boot on their neck are always going to organize.
Well, last time I checked, it was 7 billion, right, and counting. I mean, that's pretty significant.
And so I think one of the things that might be interesting. So first of all, I was wondering if the people who listen to your show, do they all know what a worker co-op is?
Well, we try to educate them. I mean, there's a lot of episodes between Richard Wolff and panel discussion that we've had numerous times on this program.
So they know, like it's one share, one vote,
right.
and that people share the they make decisions together
Right.
and stuff like that. So they know that. And so one of the things that relates to this is in our lending, for example, we also have additional principles that have to do with how we can actually be consistent with our values. So two of the ones that I think are most important is one is radical inclusion, because all of this stuff is happening on top of an economy that has radically excluded lots of people from benefiting, and
Totally.
a very racialized economy that has pushed like entire populations to the margin. So focusing on figuring out how would capital, how would cooperation, cooperative development be an alternative than waiting for Walmart to hire you or waiting for your resume to get responded to and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That is a big, I mean, that's a big impetus for why people want to start, why this makes sense to people.
Right, exactly.
And stuff like that, right?
I think it might be important. Are you speaking of the Rochdale principles at the moment?
No, I was speaking of the our lending principles.
Oh, your
so,
lending
so
principles,
like,
okay.
so like if so we have to have our own touchstones for how are we doing the right thing. So if you're a conventional bank, you approach people in a certain way. So there's the 3 C's of lending. It's credit history, collateral, and character. So our folks who've been
Interesting.
excluded,
Yeah.
they might not have a credit history.
That's right.
And our folks might not have collateral because they've been denied financing for all of the things that help you get collateral. But
That's
even
right.
if they did, would it be ethical for us to take something that we weren't involved in through our labor or through our lending in any way? No, it would not be ethical. It would not be a way to build a more equitable economy as we have all this inequality going on. And then in terms of character, everyone we work with has buttloads of character.
That's right, exactly.
We have, that is not a problem. There's lots of character out there, but that's not what banks mean when they talk about
That's
character.
right.
They don't mean are they righteous folks? You know, what they mean is, of course we need to exclude undocumented people. Of course we need to exclude returning citizens. Of course we need to exclude anyone who's ever been evicted. There must be something wrong with them besides the fact that their rent's too high, you know, or their pay's too low and stuff like that. You know, there
Yeah,
are all
could
these other
never
kinds of
be that.
things
That's
that
right.
butt up against our principle of radical inclusion. And the non-extractive principle is really that, you know, that we wait until we do a lot of vetting, we do a lot of upfront work, but we wait until
Company's
a
profitable.
company is profitable before they start paying back their loan.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
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 I think that gets
Is
back to
moral.
what, the conversation earlier about, there are so many. I mean, it's so unfamiliar in the United States, but it's also there are so many roadblocks set up to make it. I mean, just take that for an example. You try to go for a loan, and they're looking for those 3 C's. Well, the vast majority of people who would have it in their interest to become an employee owner at a worker cooperative are going to have those exact problems that we're talking
Yeah,
about.
so how is a Lyft driver going to have that?
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's
yeah.
one of the things that we had been doing as a project. Another thing that, and I'd like to continue to get this conversation going and get this off the ground, but there's a group right now in, they started in the Midwest, and they've been expanding across the nation. And forgive me, their name is changing right now, so because they had some.
I know the
legal issues with that.
acronym is
COIN.
COIN, yeah.
But I don't know that they're 100% going to go with that.
Yeah.
And it's a cooperative investment club. So what they're doing is it's
Oh, I'm in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Joe and
I'm
Michaela, they're
directly
starting
connected
their
with Joe
Yeah,
credit.
Riemann
yeah.
and
Joe Riemann.
and
They're also
And Matt
part of
in
our
Burlington,
network.
beautiful.
Vermont.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Matt's
Matt
been
Kropp.
our main
Mhm.
connect with that. And I mean, what they're doing is wonderful, and we've been wanting to start one of those in LA as well.
Yes.
But I mean, the idea behind it is just brilliant, and it's right now small investments. One of the things I've had conversations with Matt, and I've had conversations with Joe. The goal would be to, get those clubs together and maybe be able to make bigger investments as well. They make investments that are in like the 4-digit range, and they're helping cooperatives get off the ground. So there's an alternative right there to those things. We need more of those sorts of things in this structure to be able to build more and more of a
great.
worker cooperative movement, I
I
think.
want to play with that.
Yes.
Yeah, good, fantastic.
so
See,
great.
well, that's one of
Yeah,
the
we're
purposes of fantastic. That's one of the purposes of this show is to create coalitions, bring people together,
Lovely.
not just have these discussions and educate each other, but actually link and make things happen. Because we need to actually do this. I mean, that's why we work together, because we want to see change, right? We
That's
don't want to
right.
just. We don't want to just do something that's fun and sexy. We want to see actual change.
Although fun
Not that
and
there's
sexy is
anything
good,
wrong with
too.
fun and sexy. It's just that
We
you
don't,
know.
we don't want to lose that part.
Right, exactly. I mean,
Right.
this is serious stuff. I mean, we see, how the system is designed. That's why I wear this button a lot.
Right.
People over profits. I mean, that is that's a simple message, but that's the reality, because our system doesn't operate that way.
No.
You're operated as a commodity. And the shareholders, in a corporate sense, are more important than even the customers, let alone the workers. So there's something really wrong with a system that is so dehumanizing and so demoralizing like that. So
And they all have the same roots. So
Yeah.
So the fact that climate is an existential threat to life now.
Yeah.
The fact that housing is a precious commodity as opposed to shelter,
Yes.
which a response to a basic human need. The fact that jobs are these gigs, these experiments in how to make human life more precarious, and not really centered around
Disposable and
livelihood, just a
Yeah.
livelihood, for family supporting livelihoods. And so all of that has the same economic roots, that climate change is a economic problem with disastrous environmental and social results. In housing is actually, right now, there's a fabulous book by a man named Sam Stein. It's called Capital City, and it talks about how something like 67% of the wealth in the world is now in land and real estate. That cities are now just these vaults for storing money. That housing isn't even housing anymore. Land is that real estate is the capital project.
In New York, people
That's-
from China buy.
Which
It's
is-
been a huge problem in Los
apartments.
Angeles too.
That's
actually.
been a big problem in Los
which
Angeles.
is also something that we have, something that we have to deal with. Like one of the spaces in which folks really want to do cooperative businesses is to provide these transportation services, to provide healthy food, to provide things that are like even the bicycle shop. It's the first bicycle shop in that neighborhood and stuff for 3 or 4 decades. And so just basic things. And so rent has become, it's just really labor and rent are what's being extracted right now in the economy that are creating this ever-growing inequality.
Yeah.
That just
A
people.
lot of
it's-
restaurant workers, a lot of fast food workers,
That's just that there's people who
fixer-uppers,
yes,
personal trainers.
there's people who are part of the high end of the economy, and then everybody else is supposed to drive them or take care of their children or wash their dishes
That's right.
or
And
clean
pay
their
the rent.
houses.
And pay
Correct me if
rent
I'm
for
wrong.
things
And
that
pay-
are.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that sounds like feudalism. Sorry, I had to
kinda
throw
is,
that in
Yeah.
there.
Well, in
Kinda,
feudalism, though, in feudalism, the thing that's different about feudalism is if Uber were a feudal lord, he would be. I'm assuming it's a he, not a she. He would be
Most likely.
required. He would be required
Most
to
likely
to
a he.
defend you when times are hard. He would be required to to support
he's your lord, he's
his
your king,
vassals.
he's
Yeah. mhm.
He's your protector.
Too incompetent to be able to completely appropriate all of the collective resources, hence the reason why primitive accumulation was necessary that led to capitalism in the first place. But that's a long discussion.
So let's exactly. That's we
okay.
could talk about this for hours. Let's have some closing statements, Gilda.
Okay, well,
How can people learn more about the LA
LA
Co-op
Co-op
Lab?
Lab. Well, certainly come to our website, lacooplab.com. We have, if you're aching to get support because you've been talking to your friends about starting a cooperative business, we have a class that starts on June 27th. The seeds are, maybe that's why our financial cooperative is called, Seed Commons, is that the seeds are out there and they're sprouting, and people naturally want to help each other out.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Erik.
Well, I just, if anybody wants to find out more about cooperative investment clubs, again, they're in a transition of name right now. They were called Co-op Principal, or Co-op Principal, all one word, COOPRINCIPAL.
LE, right?
No, it's AL.
Is AL, okay.
Yeah, like it's a play on, principal,
Oh,
like,
yes, yeah.
money. So yeah, so that you can look that up. I believe they haven't changed the name yet, but they will be changing it to the abbreviation is COIN, COIN. I wish I could give more info on that, but the main contact there is Joe Riemann. How do you spell his name?
Reiman.
Yeah, I believe that is correct. So he's that's a great group to get a little bit more information from if you want to get involved right now in not just in being involved in a cooperative, but also in being able to invest in the cooperative economy. As for stuff that we've been talking about, we're trying to get going another Democracy at Work chapter in the area. So if people are interested in that, you guys can contact me at ERIK. By the way, my email is ridiculously long. I apologize. ERIK@interactivefitnesssystems.com.
Okay, fantastic.
So those would be the two things that I'd have input on.
Thank you.
Should I go?
Go
How
ahead.
much time do I have?
Well, just a little, unfortunately. We got to wrap
30
it up.
seconds or something?
Yeah.
So two things. One thing is I'd like to leave with, maybe as a teaser for another show, is that I'd like to bring to the discussion that these co-ops are those seeds that grow when there's a larger umbrella of political economic work that's happening.
Yes.
I think that,
important.
and part of that is coalitions as that kind of topic. And
Exactly.
from that activity, you'll see the space for more co-ops and more people talking about it and coming together and
Right.
building them. Then the second thing, and real quick, is just that look for us on patreon.com/peoplesride. There's no apostrophe in that because of computer web.
Requirements.
Yeah, whatever. People's Ride, patreon.com/peoplesride for rideshare podcasts that will talk about interesting political debates and topics.
Oh, for
Oh,
rideshare
awesome.
people as the
Thank-
speakers?
Yeah.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. This is Niswander, and thank you, Gilda Haas, Erik Boyd, and Matt Bair. You've been watching the NOWMAN Show. Stay present in the moment, always.
The past is gone, the future is yet to come, it's now, right now. The present is here, the future is near, but it's right now. Being with you makes the body complete, so keep the body moving, ensure you have your feet. At the end of the night, when all is said and done, I wanna know I did the right thing.